Welcome back, Army and entertainment seekers. Ever wondered what happens when the biggest icons on the planet decide to trade their crowns for a bit of normal human affection? In the glittering, high-stakes world of K-pop, dating isn't just a status, it's a revolution. Today, we're diving deep into the raw, emotional, and often controversial journey of the 7 legends who redefined global stardom. But here's the kicker. As they reach for a hand to hold, the world doesn't always cheer. Some fans support, while others unleash a storm of backlash that could shake any mortal. Which member faced a digital riot just for suggesting a life beyond the stage? Who turned the idol stigma on its head with a single defiant gesture? And why does number 1 feel like a complete game changer for the entire industry? Get ready, because we're peeling back the layers of fame, privacy, and the heavy price of a heartbeat. This is the definitive ranking of BTS members who faced the heat for wanting to love out loud. Are you ready to see the side of BTS the cameras usually hide?
Number 7. RM. The leader's lonely burden. A silent cry for normalcy. When we talk about Kim Namjoon, we aren't just talking about the leader of the world's biggest group. We are talking about a philosopher, a poet, and a man who has spent over a decade living in a glass house where every breath is analyzed by millions. For RM, the concept of dating isn't just about a romantic spark. It's about the fundamental human right to exist as Kim Namjoon, rather than just the RM persona that carries the weight of a billion-dollar industry on his shoulders. Throughout his career, Namjoon has been the most vocal about the suffocating nature of the idol label, often hinting in his solo tracks like Indigo and Mono that the loneliness at the top is far colder than anyone realizes. The backlash he faces whenever he mentions a desire for personal space or openness is unique because it's rooted in the fear that if the leader falls in love, the foundation of BTS might crack. Critics and toxic solo stans have often swarmed his social media whenever he posts Namjooning photos that look like they might have been taken by someone special, accusing him of being distracted or forgetting his roots. But can you imagine the irony? Here is a man who writes the most profound lyrics about love, connection, and the human condition, yet he is often scrutinized the moment he tries to apply those lyrics to his own reality. The OT7 purists and the obsessed Sasang culture collide, leaving him in a crossfire of judgment. It's a heartbreaking paradox. He gives the world the words to heal, yet he has to hide his own healing in the shadows. Is the world truly ready for a Namjoon who belongs to someone else, or will he always be the leader who belongs to everyone and no one at the same time? This is the weight of number 7, a leader who wants to be a man fighting against a world that only wants him to be a monument. Number 6. Suga. The cold truth. Behind the savage exterior lies a heart in chains. Min Yoongi, the man known for his razor-sharp tongue and the savage Suga persona, is perhaps the last person you'd expect to be caught in the crosshairs of a dating controversy. Yet that is exactly why the backlash he faces is so chillingly intense. For years, Yoongi has cultivated an image of a workaholic genius, a producer who sleeps in the studio and bleeds lyrics onto paper, leading many to believe he is married to his music. But what happens when the Daexwita king dares to suggest that he too craves a warmth that a MIDI keyboard simply cannot provide? Whenever the topic of Suga's personal life surfaces, the internet doesn't just buzz, it explodes with a terrifying mix of possessiveness and betrayal. You see, Suga has a specific type of girlfriend stans, fans who have projected a quiet, loyal husband fantasy onto him, and the moment he hints at wanting to date openly, that fantasy shatters into a million jagged pieces. Remember the rumors involving various female artists he collaborated with? The sheer vitriol directed his way wasn't just about dating, it was about the audacity of breaking the silent pact he supposedly made with his fans to remain their solitary genius.
People often forget that behind the August D mask is a man who has battled depression, social anxiety, and the crushing weight of poverty before fame. When he speaks about the concept of love in his interviews, it's often with a sense of guarded realism, yet even this subtle honesty is met with disappointment from those who want him to remain a tragic, lonely figure for the sake of his art. The hates he receives are often surgical, malicious comments claiming he's lost his edge or that his music has gone soft because he might be happy in his private life. It's a cruel psychological game where critics suggest that his pain is the only thing that makes him valuable, and a romantic relationship would somehow ruin his creative output. There was a time when a simple photo or a perceived couple item led to a digital witch hunt, where haters analyzed his lyrics to find proof of a secret lover, only to use that proof to drag his reputation through the mud. Yoongi has always been a rebel, someone who speaks out against the corrupt systems of the idol industry, yet even he seems to tread carefully when it's his own heart on the line. The emotional depth of this struggle is monumental. Imagine being a man who has achieved everything: Grammy nominations, stadium tours, global influence, but is still told by strangers that he isn't allowed to share his success with a partner. The hypocrisy is deafening. While the world praises his honesty regarding mental health, they paradoxically demand he stay silent about his romantic desires. The backlash often takes the form of concern trolling, where people claim they want him to be happy, but only if that happiness doesn't involve another person who isn't Army. It's an invisible cage made of gold and platinum records. Suga's desire for openness isn't just about holding hands in public, it's about destroying the idol stereotype that demands emotional celibacy. He's a man who values transparency, yet he is forced to live in a world of rumors and denials. Every time he stares into the camera with those piercing, honest eyes, you can almost feel the unspoken frustration of a man who knows that his greatest scandal wouldn't be a crime or a failure, but simply falling in love. Is it fair to demand that a man who has given his entire youth to the world remain forever alone in his studio? The hates say yes, but his music screams no. As we peel back the layers of number 6, we find a man who is ready to set the world on fire just to stay warm, but the fear of the fan fire keeps him in the shadows. Why is his happiness considered a threat to his genius? This is the haunting reality for Min Yoongi, a man who can conquer the charts but still has to fight for the right to be human.
Number 5. J-Hope, the sunshine shadow, when the brightest light faces the darkest jealousy. Jungkook, our eternal hope, is the member who radiates positivity so intensely that it seems almost impossible for anyone to hate him. Yet when it comes to the prospect of dating, the sunshine faces a surprisingly stormy reception. You see, Hobie has built a brand around being the ultimate source of comfort for fans, the reliable, smiling, and flawlessly professional hope of the group. But this very image has created a dangerous trap. For a significant portion of the fandom, the thought of J-Hope sharing that radiant smile with a romantic partner feels like a personal theft. Whenever Hobie is dropped hints about his personal life or shared photos that feel a bit too boyfriend material, the reaction from certain corners of the internet hasn't been supportive. It has been possessive and at times downright toxic. The hates he receives are often fueled by a sense of betrayal because he is seen as the moral compass and the emotional anchor of BTS. Critics and obsessive fans have often targeted his social media whenever he shows even a glimmer of interest in a more open lifestyle, accusing him of ruining his image or changing his priorities. There's a specific kind of pressure on Hosak to be the perfect idol who never slips up, and in the archaic rules of the K-pop industry, falling in love is often viewed as the ultimate slip-up. During his Jack-in-the-Box era, we saw a darker, more raw side of Hoseok, one that explored the pressures of his persona, and many fans speculated that this was his way of screaming for a life that isn't just about being a public figure. The backlash became real when he held his star-studded listening party. While most celebrated, a vocal minority criticized the vibe and his closeness with various attendees, projecting their insecurities onto his social interactions. The emotional weight of this is staggering because J-Hope is someone who genuinely cares about what people think. He monitors the reactions, he feels the shift in the room, and he strives to make everyone happy. So, imagine the internal conflict of wanting to share your happiness with a partner while knowing that doing so could turn your sunshines into storms. The detail that often goes unnoticed is how J-Hope has become more guarded over the years. His boyfriend core photos are curated with such precision that it feels like he's walking on eggshells, trying to satisfy a craving for normalcy without triggering a digital riot. The haters often mask their jealousy as professional advice, claiming that his focus on fashion or socializing is a sign that he's no longer dedicated to his craft. But we all know the subtext. They don't want to see him with anyone else. It's a heartbreaking reality for a man who has dedicated his life to making others happy, only to find that his own happiness, specifically the romantic kind, is the one thing people are reluctant to give him. He is the bridge between BTS and the world, the dance captain who keeps everything in sync. Yet when he asks for a moment of personal synchronization with a partner, the music stops for many. The hates directed at J-Hope for wanting to date openly are a reminder that even the brightest lights can be dimmed by the shadow of obsession. Why is it that the man who gives us so much hope is often given so little room to hope for a love of his own? As we look at number 5, we see a performer who has mastered every move on stage, but is still trying to figure out how to navigate the minefield of public opinion when it comes to his heart. Is the hope we see real, or is it a mask he wears to hide a man who just wants to be loved for who he is, not just for what he represents? Number 4. Jin, the worldwide handsome paradox, a visual king trapped in a golden cage. Kim Sok-jin, the eldest and the man who literally coined the term worldwide handsome, occupies a very strange and intense position in this ranking because his hates don't come from a lack of talent, but from a terrifyingly high level of husband material obsession. For Jin, the narrative has always been that he is the perfect man, the one you want to take home to your parents, the one with the broad shoulders and the dad jokes who seems like the ultimate stable partner. But this ideal image is exactly what makes the idea of him dating openly a literal nightmare for a segment of the public. Whenever Jin mentions his future, his desire for a family, or even when he interacts playfully with female colleagues, a specific group of haters and ak guys, solo stans, go into a full-scale defensive mode. The backlash he faces is often rooted in a sense of entitlement. Because Jin has always been so open and funny with ARMY, some fans feel they have a marriage contract with him. When rumors once swirled about him and a famous comedian, or when people overanalyze his expensive lifestyle as a sign of dating, the comment sections turn into a battlefield. They don't just hate the idea of him dating, they attack his sincerity, claiming that if he were truly dedicated to his fans, he wouldn't even think about another woman. Can you feel the suffocating weight of that? Here is a man who entered the industry as an actor, someone who understands human emotion and connection, yet he is often reduced to a trophy that must remain on a shelf, untouched. The emotional detail that breaks your heart is how Jin often uses his humor as a shield. He cracks a joke to deflect when things get too personal, but in his solo song, The Astronaut, he sang about a limitless love that many felt was a subtle nod to a life he wishes he could lead more freely.
The hates often take the form of mocking his age, with critics saying he's too old to be playing the idol game if he wants to get married, while simultaneously attacking him the second he shows any sign of doing just that. It's a lose-lose situation. During his military enlistment, the speculation about his private life reached a fever pitch, with people trying to track his every move to see if a secret girlfriend was visiting him. The level of scrutiny is invasive and cruel. Jin's desire for openness is actually a desire for respect, the respect to be a 30-plus-year-old man who can have a dinner date without it becoming a global scandal that affects the HYBE stock market. The backlash is a reflection of a culture that sees handsome men as property rather than people. Why is it that the man who constantly tells us to love ourselves is the one we refuse to let love someone else? Jin's journey is a testament to the golden cage of K-pop. He has the world at his feet, but he can't walk down a street holding someone's hand without the world trying to trip him. The worldwide handsome title is both a blessing and a curse, creating a standard of perfection that leaves no room for the imperfection of a real, messy human relationship. As we move closer to the top of this list, the air gets thinner and the stakes get higher. Is Jin's astronaut a symbol of him finally flying away from these expectations, or is he destined to remain the moon that only circles the Earth, never allowed to find a planet of his own?
Number 3, Jimin, the Prince of Hearts, caught in a storm of obsession and idealism. When we enter the territory of Park Jimin, we aren't just talking about a member of BTS. We are talking about a global phenomenon who has been dubbed the It Boy of the K-pop industry. Jimin's image is one of ethereal beauty, fluid grace, and an almost otherworldly level of intimacy with his fans. He's the man who looks into the camera and makes millions feel like he is speaking directly to their souls. But this deep emotional connection is a double-edged sword that cuts incredibly deep when the topic of open dating is brought to the table. For Jimin, the backlash isn't just hate, it's a full-blown emotional crisis within the fandom. Because he is portrayed as the healing and sensitive soul of the group, a massive portion of the public has developed a protective, almost possessive barrier around him. Whenever rumors arise, whether it's the infamous matching jewelry theories or the same location photos analyzed by internet detectives, the vitriol is staggering. The haters don't just attack the potential partner, they attack Jimin's purity. They claim that for him to date openly would be a betrayal of the delicate angelic image he has spent years building. Can you imagine the pressure of being told you are too precious to live a normal life? Jimin has often spoken about his struggles with loneliness and his desire for a deep, meaningful connection. Yet, every time he moves to a more transparent existence, the shipping wars and the solo stan toxicity create a digital minefield. The hates he receives for wanting to date openly are often deeply personal, attacking his character and questioning his loyalty to the ARMY brand. During his Face solo debut, we saw a glimpse of a man who was tired of wearing a mask, a man who wanted to face his true self, vulnerabilities, desires, and all. Yet the reaction from the darker corners of the internet was to double down on the scrutiny. Critics often use his gender-fluid fashion and soft personality as a weapon, suggesting that he belongs to a certain fantasy and that any deviation into a real-world open relationship would ruin the magic. The emotional detail here is the silence Jimin has to maintain. He is a man of intense passion, yet he has to contain that passion within the boundaries of a curated idol persona. The backlash is a reflection of a fan culture that has confused admiration with ownership. There have been instances where malicious commenters have spent months deconstructing his social media posts just to find a reason to cancel him for allegedly being in a relationship. This isn't just celebrity gossip, it's a systematic attempt to control his heartbeat. Why is the man who dances with such freedom the one most restricted in his private choices? The paradox of Jimin is that while he is one of the most loved people on earth, he is also one of the most policed in terms of his affections. The hates directed at him for wanting to date openly serve as a grim reminder that in the world of high-level idols, your heart is often considered public property.
Is it fair to demand that Jimin stays our little prince forever, never allowing him to become someone's king? As we look at the intensity surrounding number 3, we see the sheer weight of a perfect reputation and how it can become a prison. Jimin's struggle is the ultimate test of the idol-fan relationship. Can we love him enough to let him love someone else? Or is our love actually a cage? The mystery of his private life continues to be a battleground, proving that the more angelic you are perceived to be, the more people will try to clip your wings the moment you try to fly toward another person. Number 2. V, the rebel soul, fighting for the right to a beautiful life. Kim Tae-young is a man who marches to the beat of his own drum, a soul deeply rooted in jazz, old movies, and a romanticized view of the world, which is exactly why his desire to date openly has sparked some of the most explosive and aggressive backlash in K-pop history. For V, love isn't something to be hidden in a basement or discussed in hushed tones. He is a man of vanity aesthetics, someone who believes in the beauty of the moment. But when those moments involve a potential romantic partner, the hates he receives are nothing short of a digital war. Tae-young has faced a level of scrutiny that would break most people. Remember the absolute chaos surrounding the Paris walk or the leaked photos that dominated global headlines? While a huge part of the fandom supported him, a terrifyingly vocal minority unleashed a wave of vitriol that targeted his professionalism, his character, and even his family. The hates weren't just about him dating, they were about his audacity to not hide it well enough. Critics and obsessive sasaengs attacked him for being careless, as if his only job was to maintain the illusion of being forever single for their benefit. The emotional detail here is the sheer defiance in Tae-young's eyes. Unlike others who might hide away, V continued to post, continued to share his art, and continued to live his life even as malicious commenters tried to cancel him for being a normal 20-something man. The backlash often took a cruel turn, with people claiming his vibe had changed or that he was neglecting the fans because he dared to have a social life. Can you imagine the suffocating reality of having every move, every shirt, and every reflection in a window analyzed by millions of people looking for a reason to throw stones? Tae-young's desire for openness is a direct challenge to the industry's purity culture. He has often hinted in his lyrics and interviews that he dreams of a life where he can walk his dog, Yuntin, with someone he loves by his side, without it being a scandal. Yet the hates continue to pour in whenever he shows even a hint of personal happiness that doesn't involve a stage. The emotional toll is immense. He is one of the most handsome men in the world, a Celine boy and a global icon, yet he is treated like a criminal for the simple act of human connection. The backlash against V is a reflection of a deep-seated jealousy that views him as a prize to be won rather than a human to be respected. He has had to endure hashtags calling for his removal from the group and boycotts of his solo work, all because he chose not to live in fear of the camera lens. Why is it that the man who brings so much blue and gray comfort to our lives is denied the colorful reality of an open relationship? Tae-young's journey is one of immense courage, a rebel soul fighting against a system that wants him to be a silent mannequin. He is the bridge between the traditional idol and a global artist, but that bridge is currently being pelted with the stones of obsession. As we look at the fire he has walked through, we realize that V isn't just fighting for himself, he's fighting for the future of every artist who wants to be more than just a fantasy. But if the backlash for number 2 was this intense, can you even imagine the storm surrounding number 1? Is the world truly ready for a Tae-young who doesn't belong to the brand, but to a person?
Number 1. Jungkook, the golden maknae's ultimate sacrifice. The cost of being the world's boyfriend. Here we are, at the summit of a mountain made of both gold and broken glass. Jungkook, the The Golden Maknae is not just a member of BTS, he is the undisputed protagonist of the modern K-pop era, a man whose every blink can trend worldwide. But being the center of the world comes with a price so heavy it's almost inhuman. Why is Jungkook number one? Because the hates he faces regarding the mere idea of dating openly are not just opinions, they are a global phenomenon of possessiveness that borders on the cinematic. For years, the industry and a segment of the fandom have projected the ultimate boyfriend image onto him. He is the one who does 4-hour live streams to keep ARMY company, the one who calls fans his everything, and the one who has grown up in the public eye since he was 15. This has created a psychological bond so intense that many fans feel a literal, physical sense of ownership over his heart. When Jungkook even hints at a life of his own, or when he addresses rumors directly, the internet doesn't just react, it fractures. Remember the absolute firestorm during his solo 7 era? The music video featured a romantic storyline, and even that fictional depiction sent shockwaves through the community, with some fans lashing out at his co-star and questioning his intentions. But the real hates come from a place of deep-seated betrayal. Jungkook has been incredibly brave, often telling fans during his Weavers lives to not worry about his private life and to let him be a man. But these pleas for boundaries are often met with even more aggressive scrutiny. Critics and toxic solo stans have used everything from his tattoos to his late-night outings as weapons to paint him as rebellious or unfocused. The emotional detail that truly stings is how much Jungkook actually tries to be honest. He doesn't want to lie to us. He has expressed a desire to be an artist who can be open and natural. Yet, he is the one who receives the most disappointment messages whenever a rumor surfaces. The hates are often disguised as protection, people claiming they are protecting his career while actually trying to control his personal growth. There was a time when he had to publicly apologize for things that weren't even crimes, simply because the fantasy of his singleness was threatened. Can you imagine being a 26-year-old global superstar, a man who has conquered every stage on Earth, yet feeling the need to explain yourself for having dinner with friends or wanting to explore a relationship? The backlash against Jungkook is the ultimate proof of the idol paradox. The more you give to your fans, the more they feel they have the right to take from your private life. He has faced organized hate campaigns on platforms like X or Twitter and TikTok, where malicious edits try to prove he's no longer dedicated to BTS because he might be distracted by love. This is why number one proves everything. It proves that even at the very top of the world, you can still be a prisoner of your own success. Jungkook's journey toward wanting openness is a lonely uphill battle against a culture that isn't ready to let go of its favorite younger brother. Every time he speaks up for his autonomy, he is met with a wall of judgment that says, you can be ours or you can be alone. But Jungkook, being the golden soul he is, keeps pushing. He keeps evolving, showing us that he is a man first and an icon second. The question remains, as he transitions from the Golden Maknae to a global pop titan, will we finally give him the space to love openly? Or will we continue to demand that he sacrifices his personal happiness for our collective dream? Number one isn't just a ranking, it's a mirror reflecting the darkest part of fan culture, showing us that the most loved person in the world can also be the one most restricted from the most basic human experience, loving someone out loud.
And there you have it, a raw, unfiltered look at the invisible chains that come with a global crown. It's a wild reality, isn't it? We see these 7 men standing on top of the world, surrounded by millions of voices screaming their names. Yet the one voice they sometimes struggle to listen to is their own heart. This journey through the rankings shows us that being an icon isn't just about the sold-out stadiums or the record-breaking hits. It's about the courage to remain human in a system that treats you like a product. We've seen the leadership of RM, the silent strength of Suga, the radiant hope of J-Hope, the golden cage of Jin, the ethereal pressure on Jimin, the rebellious spirit of V, and finally, the ultimate sacrifice of Jungkook. They've given us their youth, their sweat, and their tears. But are we, as a global society, ready to give them their freedom? The hates we discussed today aren't just comments on a screen. They are the growing pains of an industry trying to figure out where the idol ends and the man begins. As these legends continue to break boundaries, they aren't just making music, they are rewriting the rules of fame for every artist who comes after them. They are proving that you can be a global superstar and still deserve a hand to hold when the stage lights go dark. So next time you see a rumor or a headline, ask yourself, are you cheering for the character or are you supporting the person? Because at the end of the day, the greatest comeback any of them can make is finding a happiness that doesn't need a publicist's approval. Thank you for riding this emotional roller coaster with me. It's been an intense, eye-opening look at the price of being the best. But the conversation doesn't end here. The world of BTS and the Hallyu wave is always moving, always changing.